Good morning, Mr. Alex. Your results just came in and I'm sorry, but you tested positive for hepatitis D.
What does the D stand for, Doc?
Doritos. Yeah, I don't know, it's the first time I've seen anything like this. You have triangle-shaped blood clots and all our pathologists are Gen Z.
Oh God. Could you tell me more about this disease, Doc?
Sure. It's a bloodborne disease that starts at...
Did you say Bloodborne?
I can't with these f***ing nerds! Why can't you just drop dead? Oh, well, that was easy. That's because I still have to get good. God damn it! The year is 2015. Your 14-year-old self just finished playing Dark Souls Scholar of the First Run back on your PS4 and thinks, gosh golly gee, this game was fun and all, but I sure need more edginess in my video games. Then all of a sudden, a light comes from the screen and a man appears. You are reasonably freaked out by the situation until you realize it's Hidetaka Miyazaki and he starts to speak.
Do you know Shadow the Hedgehog? The game is a really cool game and I made my own version of it. Here, take a look.
Bloodborne. Back in 2012, Miyazaki looked at Dark Souls and thought, not dark enough. And at the same time, Mr. Sony was rubbing his hands as he prepared to enact the most evil plan in history. He wanted a shiny new title for his upcoming console, and Miyazaki was like, sure, what could possibly go wrong? Well, the answer might surprise you, but we won't talk about that now, because this game brought with it a lot of good stuff. In my opinion, Bloodborne was the game that started FromSoftware's golden age, which I feel like we're close to seeing the end of. Every game that came out after it was a hit, with 2 of them winning Game of the Year award, and all of them winning many more awards. And it's fascinating to look back at this legendary game that just turned 10 years old. Yeah. It's been 10 years. Can you feel your back hurting, Grandpa? But while we can say all that in retrospect, what did people think about it? You know, in the same year as box office fillers such as Minions? Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember, Souls-like games in the early 2010s were more of the ragey YouTuber games where a lot. So considering how different this game is compared to its predecessors, I have no idea what people would have thought about it at the time. Especially considering its requirements. And I don't mean technical requirements, I mean physical, because the title of this video is correct. There is an annoyingly high chance that you haven't played this game, and it's annoying because this game is good. But to play it, you need the 4th Sony box. Mine is white, because this game makes me very excited. Yes, Bloodborne was, and still is, exclusive to the PS4, the only console capable of flight. I could go on about the absence of a sequel, or the absence of a remastered, or the absence of a PC port, but it's fair to depress the audience over time. So strap in and stop huffing that copium as we take a look at Bloodborne. But first, we have to create a character. Someone or something that will have to endure all that will be thrown at it by this game's sadistic creators. And for that task I chose... Squidward. I don't know, I just feel like squids fit the theme.
Hey there, Willy Wonka here. What is wrong with your face?
What do you mean?
Never mind. Do you want a drink? I call it fun juice.
That sounds nice. Whoa, whoa. Hi there, doggy.
What are you buying?
Oh no, sorry. I don't have any cashews on me. Whoa! No need to get all fired up. Oh, good morning, everybody. You coming for the kiss? Pucker up them lips, whoever still has that. Well, that was an experience. Am I right, broskies? Also, even after all that, I still have no idea what's going on. Did you think an acid trip was enough context? Seek Pale blood to transcend the hunt. Well, that shouldn't be a problem. I stay so much inside my room, my blood has turned transparent. Is that good enough? Probably not. So let's try the blood of the innocents. Don't worry, doggo, my hands will make it quick and painless. Oh god, it too has limbs. And a mouth?
Wakey, wakey, hunter.
What? Is that a McDonald's? The Hunter's Dream. This game's very tiny hub. Also the only hub where I can get a proper nap, since it doesn't fill to the brim with weirdos telling me how fucked the world is. There is the doll. I swear on my Farkeeper's cardboard cutout, that thing can talk, even if the game is trying to gaslight me. The important thing now is that I'm lacking equipment, which will be given by these guys. And you might not know it, but this was a compromise on an early decision. So we decided that the player will not get their stuff right away, so how should they get their first weapon? From the ground. Sorry? Make them kneel. What? And beg for it. This is getting a little weird. I want them to be humiliated before they even start to play! Wait, are you the guy who made the Bed of Chaos? They will pay for what they said about my baby! Before anything else, let's go inside. Well, that's just great. I guess I just gotta use the definitely very normal and very convenient teleport system to go back to explore the first area, Central Yharnam, a lively city in the very normal land of England. Well, that's welcoming. Now that we're finally actually playing, let's quickly go over some of the mechanics. Firstly, and most importantly, the combat is noticeably faster not only in the first two Dark Souls, but in the third too. The main change is the dodge, which went from a roll to a sidestep that does have its problems, but we'll get to them when we get to them. A second noticeable change can be found in parries, which aren't that much different, just instead of deflecting the enemy's attack with a shield, you perform them in the most American way possible. Sir, if you don't calm down, I'll be forced to use lethal force. Watch out, he's got a hat! All of this is displayed in this area full of aways, ketamine quasimodos, dogs, big dogs, feathery dogs, and the bipedal evangelical goat dog, more commonly known as the cleric beast. There really isn't much to say about this boy. I'd say he's the most Dark Souls-y boss in the game. So that lets me talk about another mechanic. Since you're so fast and there's not much in the way of improving your defenses, for this game they decided to encourage bar fights. When you get hit, there is a small window afterwards where attacking an enemy heals you a little bit. It's just as I always say. An eye for an eye, and a lobotomy for a slap. Let's go back to the Hunter's Dream for a second. My eye is twitching a bit. Alright, here we are. Why is the doll standing up?
Hello, good.
Ah, she speaks! Run! Oh, hello.
So, we finally meet. How are your eyes?
I'd say a little weird. Does that mean that I have 4?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, thank God. I thought it was some sort of horrifying thing beyond mortal comprehension.
No, why would it be that? In any case, I officially welcome you in the Hunter's Dream. Make yourself at home and use whatever you need. Even the doll, should it please you.
You could have said that in so many million of other ways. So with my little thing in my eyes, we can finally use this hub to its fullest extent, including buying Why are those here? Let's talk about a series of dumb decisions that were put in here because our experience with these games cannot legally be more than 85% enjoyable. First, and absolutely most infamous, healing items. The blood vials you use to heal can be dropped by most enemies and, again, can be bought in the Hunter's Dream. This is because they're treated as consumables, and that means that you'll find yourself farming for them way too many times. Me when I eat the rich. In blood, I'm going to bleed you dry. Now that they're at it, they might as well make me farm for parries. Are you Let's get out of here before I pop a blood vessel and I need to buy more vials. Little did I know, there would be
another feature, featuring the dead brain cells of the devs. In Dark Souls 1 we can teleport after the midpoint of the game. In Dark Souls 2 they put the fast travel system we all know, but in Bloodborne they decided to pull a demon souls and make you teleport back to the main hub to go anywhere, instead of doing the thing that they did in the game that literally came out the year before. I thought I wasn't gonna be able to complain for this one. Let's talk to the locals.
I've heard I have. Shutting up indoors isn't always enough. Well, if you want to got off your ass...
Sorry ma'am, I don't speak beans on toast. What about you? My name is Aileen, and I am a gamer. Is that so? Then you should subscribe to AlexBadConnection on youtube.com/@. No! Aw, I hate gaming. There are no good games coming out anymore. Do you by any chance play anything other than Warzone? Why would I? Turns out what we need to do is go in the shit... That was the end of the sentence. Also, what is this noise?
And the award for game where you don't start looking like the guy in the cover and it's the fastest to look like the guy in the cover goes to... Bloodborne with 30 seconds!
Oh my god, he's got a gun!
Past all that, we find the real first boss. Resident Evil Village. Father Gascoigne is the perfect introduction to this game's combat, where a lot of enemies are fast and relentless and you are encouraged to be the same, especially since, once again, there's not much defense that you can do. Also, Bloodborne was the game that truly introduced second phases for bosses, and this one starts with a sponsor segment?
Today's boss fight is brought to you by FromSoftware's Trick Weapons. Look at how long my axe is. Perfect for all the short kings who can't reach the top shelf. And to demonstrate how much I love it, I'm gonna use them to butcher this twink.
Wait, what? Even though I just said that this game introduces second phases, I'd say a lot of these are more pseudo phases, especially since this boss would technically have a third phase, where he forgets to shave. Oh, I know the best way to neutralize an old man. Internet brain rot!
We got a number one victory royale.
After stumbling a bit, we get through him and access a church. I feel like if I film another video with church jokes, I get smitten. And I try to not get proven he's real because of that. Welcome to Cathedral Ward, home to the most easily parryable enemies in gaming. And not much other than that, considering that most of the area is blocked at the moment. We can see the arena where we fought the cleric beast, so does that mean that this is another incredible interconnected world? What? This door feels like an elaborate joke. Like they thought about making an elaborate web of paths and shortcuts and elevators. They were about to do it, and then they didn't. And this is them mocking us. Every time a poor soul tries to open this door, those sick bastards have a laugh. I can hear them right now. Stop! Stop laughing at me! With nowhere else to go, our only choice is to go down. This sign can't stop me, for I conveniently forgot how to read! What? Is someone talking to me? Is there a guy on the tower? Dude, I can't understand you! Come down here!
No! You come here!
Fine! Can't he just greet people at the entrance like a normal human being? Why is he even up there for? It was at this moment that Alex knew. Run, bitch. Run. Oh, that's why! While frantically going past the beautiful city of Detroit, we deal with Guy McShooting's Toy Boy and go past the Church of Fleshy Jesus. I'm sorry, Christians, this war wrote itself. We can then face Guy McShooting himself and give him a taste of his own medicine.
What a thrill.
And before we continue, excuse me as I go fill up my vials for all the 180... The price increased. Not even a literal dream is safe from tariffs. Who decided to put literal inflation in the game? And not the kind I like. Huh? That's some good inflation. So surely I'm not going to find anything scarier than real life economics down here. You could have waited, I don't know, half a second to prove me wrong? The Blood-Starved Beast. The type of name usually given to the nicest bulldogs. I hate this boss with a passion, and I would dare call it my Crystal Sage of Bloodborne. So even though the name would suggest otherwise, this bulldog is toxic. Literally. Because all of its attacks apply slow poison.
Holy hell, that is low? What happens if you get fast poisoned? A firing squad spawns in your house? Plus, this boss also has 3 pseudo phases, where it gets progressively more rabid, and in the third it becomes so unshowered that you get poisoned by just being near it. Oh, the Pthumeru Chalice. I'll have a couple of things to say about this later. Also, I have no idea if I had to go through the stink zone and deal with that thing, because from what I understand, to progress you don't need to beat it, but you need to find it in order to progress. Which is a lot of sense in the making. With that, we can continue through Cathedral Ward. Or not. What is this progression? My brain while I script? I wrote 2 pages in the last 3 hours. The Healing Church Workshops is an area made by a big fan of Minecraft droppers. I would really like to know what is so compelling about combining these games and parkour. Did Michael Scott make this? Ooh, door. Yes. Of course. Oh yes, I totally understand the implications of this, and it's definitely not that my brain turned into scrambled eggs after the fall. We beat the parkour, we beat the dog, we beat our squid brother, and we can finally go through Cathedral Ward. They've teased us with this area twice already, so there must be some crazy shiz in here. There's the path to another area, a locked door that leads to another area, and the boss. Funny thing is, there's gonna be many occasions where we'll go to Cathedral Ward just to go to another area. I love roundabouts! And at the center of this one, I hear a bark. Why is there a woman? It's like when I enter my best friend's house. Like, who cares about him? I wanna see the doggo. Where did you hide it? Vicar Amelia. So that's where she went after Hololive. This truck-sized Borzoi shows us all the main traits of its breed, including their freakishly long arms and their ability to use magic. For which there is an item that lets you prevent it, but I forgot to get it, so the battle lasted 3 times longer than it should have. Yippee! This doggo in particular is a very naughty one. No, bad girl! I said no more bone crushing! So after a good shaving, we get through her, and the only thing I can think of doing now is take the third exit of the roundabout, where after a quick lukewarm shower of bullets, we reach Hemwick Chernal Lane. What can I say about this area? No, really, what can I say about this dirt mound? The only thing I can think about is a quote from my friend. Hemwick Chernal Lane. Non fai una ciolla e poi ci torni per andare a Kenast. Couldn't have said it better myself. Apart from a crow in a perpetual state of loading, and a lot, and by that I mean a lot, and with that I mean a stupid amount, and with that I mean like a bingo house worth of old people, we also find more old people. The Witch of Hemwick is a potato-shaped woman that is invisible until you get near her. That's it. The entire battle is just you running in circles like a zoochotic animal until you find the boss area ranger inside. She teleports, rinse and repeat. Why did she take no damage? Oh, but of course there's a second one. Why wouldn't there be a second one? Why is there a second one? What's the point? They don't even attack until they do, I guess? What the hell was that? What is going on here?
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Why are you alive? This battle is literally the Cursed Sword Great Wood Tree, Twig, whatever you want to call it. Think about it. They're both optional. They're old and wrinkly. both battles are shit, and they give you some nice little trinkets. And hey, this one is actually extremely useful. The Rune Workshop tool, a nifty little device that lets you equip runes which will give you passive boosts, such as increased stamina, enhanced resistances, more echoes, and who can forget, more echoes. Okay, I get it, I have to admit it. Beating up 2 old ladies was worth it. And also kind of fun. And now what's next in our wacky adventure? You would never guess. You have to go back to Cathedral World again to literally get the ever-living crap beaten out of you in order to get kidnapped and transported to Yharnam, a town inhabited by the nicest Eastern European grandmas and what I can only describe as human beehives. But also, there's something weird about this place. It feels darker. Otherworldly, even. Oh, that's what it is. Grandma's hairy skeleton escaped from the basement. Talking about Dark Beast Spiral is like talking about what I want to do in the future. It's complicated, okay? Plus, I'm not even supposed to be here because Yharnam is optional. For now, I don't want to be repetitive, but the progression through this game is kind of convoluted. So to nobody's surprise, what we need to do is go back to Cathedral World, quickly steal Alien's skill, you motherfucker, and then go talk to the moldy dog skull in Amelia's arena.
Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Oh, I know. You think now to betray me, but you will never listen. Fear the old blood, for it means you undercook the fucking beef.
You know, that's pretty smart. I usually just write down my passwords. These guys set up a flashback-inducing skull. Also, the password was, fear the old blood. Yo, that's the name of this part of the video! Did FromSoftware plagiarize my video before I made it? So finally we can go forward in our adventure. What is this? He's dead. Someone cooked here. Bone broth. With a hint of snake oil. I gotta get to the bottom of this. Here we are. The Forbidden Woods. I've heard stories of this place. Luckily, I have a map to guide me through it. What the hell? This is everyone's most favoritest area of the game, and I'll prove it by showing all the features that a good area can offer. We have engineering, we have the Smurfs, we have Vietnam, and we have snakes. Like, there's so many snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? I could go on and on with snake references. I mean, I won't. I don't have any others, so here's some snakes. Also, there's pigs, because I don't know, Miyazaki really liked Porco Rosso.
But I'd rather be a pig than a pig.
So between being difficult to navigate and the enemies being as fun to deal with as ripping a toenail, this area is probably the worst in the game. But somehow the boss is one of my favorites, and what makes it extra surprising is that this is a group boss, which don't really have a good reputation in these games. Well, saying they have bad rap is putting it mildly. I'd rather gargle a glass of gravel before redoing any of the gargoyle fights, from any game, even the ones I've yet to talk about. And who can forget the Shadow Clone Jutsu, the 4 things, an average Dark Souls PvP experience. So how is it with this game's 2 group bosses? Not only I don't have a problem with them, but I also kind of enjoy both. The Shadows of Yharnam are 3 dudes in black cloaks that ambush you from the fog, which is the most unpleasant sentence I've ever uttered. This looks like prime soul for the perfect shitstorm, but I think this is a very balanced fight. The three of them behave differently enough that they never just rush and beat the joy of living out of you. One of them only has a sword and is the most aggressive. The second is much less aggressive, and he wields a sword and a candle that he uses to spew fire at you. And the third mainly stays in the back lines while throwing fireballs. Plus, none of them have that much health, meaning that it doesn't take long to take care of one of them and make the others much easier to deal with. Overall, this boss shows a great level of improvement for these kinds of fights, but it can still improve a bit more. And for the next area, I'm sure whatever awaits me won't be worse than the god-awful floor. What the hell's going on here?
You have to come with us.
What?
We're taking you back to school.
Oh, there must have been a misunderstanding. I've been away from that place long ago.
We're not asking.
No, hey, no, hey, stop! No, please, no! I don't want to go back there, no! Welcome to the College of Bergenworth, a prestigious institution full of books and bugs. Honestly, this is one of my favorite designs of everything. Just look at this. Insect. You have a character, you insert insect parts in it, 1,000 times better instantly. If you love insects, you are my friend, and you're welcome with open arms in this channel. But if you don't like them, don't worry, they will like you for dinner. While the outside is the dream of any bug nerd, the inside is sadly lacking any six-legged little guys, and that's probably the fault of the angry lesbian of the library, Yuri, who is not only insectophobic, but also squidphobic. Bigotry against the non-vertebrate will not be tolerated on my channel. Wait, did I just commit a homicide? On Pride Month? Above it all we find the password giver. What words of wisdom will he dispense? Alright. Ooh, I didn't know heaven had giant eggplants. That is Rom the vacuous spider, which literally means the stupid spider. Because look at her, she's just a punching bag, all alone with no friend. Hey, what did I just say? No invertebrate phobia on my channel. It's not her fault that she's challenging. In the sense that it's a challenge to stay awake. At first, she's gonna be passive, so you only need to be careful of the little spiders, since they do a ridiculous amount of damage. So the strategy for most of the battle will be to run in, strike a couple of times, and run. It's a repetitive and boring chore, and it doesn't get better when she starts attacking. Oh, so often you'll think you can get some damage done, and then one of these things happen. She stands up, meteors will come down. Goes on her back, meteors will come up, head and tail up, and finally, after doing the rounds in the Spider-Verse, Snow White becomes a follower of the Moon Lord. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. Ritual secrets broken. Seek the nightmare newborn. What does that mean? He probably knows. This is the point of the game where everything changes. The story so far was roughly about a plague that turned people into beasts. Then you get to Bergenworth and you have centipedes that can summon meteors, gays who can collapse stars into existence, and a place where Squidward went to be alone. Alone. I said alone! Go away, you handsome cephalopod! At this point, it is obvious that for Bloodborne, they didn't stop at mere beasts, but they reached for a bigger source of inspiration. The stories of Lovecraft, which famously involved the eldritch being from outer space, like the manifestation of trypophobia. All this must have been a big surprise to a lot of people, since up until this point the game doesn't mention anything like this apart from a couple of cryptic notes here and there. Even the advertisements didn't let anything about this slip out. In hindsight, even the name of the development project feels like a way to hide it. It was called Project Beast. Wait a minute. Mr. Beast! So up until this point we're going through FurCon and I just performed a ritual. Which is not that uncommon, ask any furry, they will confirm. Also, we're back in Cathedral Ward. Who would have thought? Let's see what changed around these parts. Okay, I might need to give a bit of context here, so... buckle up. Near the beginning, I met this woman who closed herself in the clinic. She gave me her blood. What? She then asked me to send in people, which I did do by accident. I think that guy turned into a smurf. Then I found another way inside the clinic. She basically threatened me, and I do love crazy women, so I complied. And now I came back to her getting airbag shots. Also, I have another one of these. Why am I collecting them? Next we have... Oh, Aileen, how's it going?
You... Get your hands up your ass and don't even think of stealing my kill. I'm so close to getting a positive KD ratio, and I'm not gonna have you ruin it. Actually, be my guest. Go ahead and try, as if some beta like you could ever beat an alpha male like him.
Well, I just got challenged on the internet, and as the rules say, I cannot refuse. Why am I even specifying this? Everybody knows the rules of the internet, especially Rule 34. No wait, this was Rule 134. What was Rule 34 about? Oh! So who's the guy we're gonna fight? Well, he seems like a regular dude. Guess I gotta tell Aileen to get good... Jesus! Let's talk about NPC fights. They are some of the worst parts of any of these games for me. And in here it's even worse, since just like the Hunta, they're also able to sidestep, or as I like to say, zap around like fucking mosquitoes. And it doesn't help that with them we encounter my first problem with sidestepping. While fighting these goons, the Hunta starts to feel like he's a bird and he wants to fly away, as he sidesteps just outside the range of my weapon. Now take all of that and make the NPC a demigod. Especially for this point in the game, the Bloody Crow Canarst has an ungodly amount of health and deals insane amounts of damage. If one of his attacks deal 50% of your health, that's low. And his gun? I call it a lobotomizer. But in order to even have a shot at beating him, I had to go to the place where he trained. A long abandoned fortress far to the north that I conveniently got an invitation for. Said place is the Forsaken Castle of Canarst. It's going to be a long training session. Big Jim doesn't want you to know this, but this is the peak male form. This truly is my fashion souls. I just received a letter noting that it is immoral to beat up old ladies, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. It is very unfair on my part. I should beat up an old man to make it equal. At the top of the castle we find an actual corpse, Martyr Logarius. I genuinely love this boss. It's one of my favorites from this game, and that counterbalances the absolutely horrible experience I've had this time. In phase 1 he was constantly backing into a corner to spam memes, and he does that in a lot of ways. And imagine doing all of that while trying to dodge and parry alongside my arch nemesis. Input delay. Then phase 2 starts and it gets even worse, because he started to spam this dumbass move where he plants a sword that shoots other swords, which just in the first attempt he did 8 times in a span of a minute, sometimes even back to back. Like, I just destroyed it, you can't just replant it. Now, I'm pretty sure I was a little underleveled, but I'm also pretty sure that I'm a lot hard-headed, and my head did hit those roof tiles just a couple of times. But if I had to choose one thing that makes this battle infamous, that would be the run back. A whole field trip around the castle every time you die, and for a fairly difficult boss, mind you. If I hear anyone complain about the stakes of Marika, I will strap them to a chair and make them go through this run back until their hands turn blue and fall off! Oh, don't worry about me. I'm just farming so that I can play the game. Beating Logarius gives us the Crown of Illusion, which uncovers an extra part of the castle, like I took a secret exit in Super Mario, as if this place didn't already look like Luigi's mansion. Inside it, we get to submit to a woman, my lifelong dream.
I prithee, partake of my rotted blood.
Ladies, I'm not a blood bank. Stop giving it to me! I did the work, I proved myself, and now I just have to buy a couple of things to make myself truly complete. Huh. That's, a little pricey. But it's okay, because Bloodborne is set in the only universe where get-rich-quick schemes actually work. You just need to go back to Cathedral Ward, willingly get grabbed by horrors beyond comprehension and get teleported to a literal money farm. The lecture building. The only thing you need to know about this place is the auditorium, the room where the infinite money glitch happens. But I feel like I'm missing something here. There's a peculiar smell in the air. A familiar brand of asshole. Wanna touch scalps? With that, I am now complete, and I can finally face the bloody demon once and for all. I feel pure and unadulterated hate, which you know it's real when a person decides to willingly go back to Yahar'gul, which we now are actually supposed to be in. Whoa, ladies, come, there's enough of me for everybody. By the way, what is that? This is one of the areas where the Lovecraftian inspiration shows the most. And speaking of Lovecraft, outside of his stories, he was known for 3 more things. His racism, his fear of penguins, and his hatred of Italians. That last one I definitely feel the most, because I don't know a single Italian who had a good time going through this area. Between the presence of more NPCs in one place that is legally allowed, an assortment of old enemies but in red velvet style, and the whole area being a panicked run to the boss. And said boss I don't particularly like, but I somehow learned how to deal with it relatively well, and now it's kind of easy for me. Don't look! Hey kids, do you wanna see a video on how hamburgers are made? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba! Then 1 reborn and his 6 concubines. You know what this boss reminds me of? Monster Hunter. It's a giant creature with weak spots and breakable parts. I am right. It just has a couple more feet than the usual monster, but that's just how Miyazaki intended it. And with that, I got enough money to become truly complete. And I can actually finally beat... Beyond the One Reborn's arena, we entered the lecture building. Which is not another roundabout, it's more of a crossroad. Now excuse me as I go dive head first into incomprehensible nightmares. Our next stop will be the Nightmare Frontier, a place where only the most depraved creatures live. Like my OCs, Bob Bloodborne and Daddy Gascoigne. Other than them, this area isn't really noteworthy. Oh no, they made one here too, and they fill it with the most Japanese thing of all time, hentai! But it's fine, I can deal with a little bit of toxins, and 1 or 2 tentacles tickling me inappropriately. I'm sure it will be fine. What is that? A bouquet of eyes. Ah yes, the average 3-phase interaction with a woman. The approach, the madness, and the bleed out. And speaking of abnormally shaped women, this lanky lady is yet another boss that I'm very fond of. Firstly, just the look of this creature, it is so alien and so fitting for this world. And what makes it even greater is that depending on how far gone in the head the hunter is, you can see one of these beings way early into the game, all the way in Cathedral Ward. How many times will I say Cathedral Ward in this video? Fight-wise, if I had to give a tip, the best spots to hit are the pale segments on her arms, but the real sweet spot has to be the head. Wait just a second, this is just another Monster Hunter fight! Also, this is an optional boss. Is this entire area? Oh, god damn it. Sorry, wrong direction. Big fluffy unicorn dancing on torches. The Nightmare of Menses is... Get me out of here, please! This is the most place I've ever placed, so instead we'll just go back to Cathedral Ward so we can go to Upper Cathedral Ward, also known as Peterstown. This place is mostly one of many attempts of the devs to make a spooky area. Like, guys, we get it, this is a spooky game. Okay, I'm sorry, you don't need to act like a rabid dog about it. What's in here? Devs be blessed for giving us the power of door. I better get something good for all this trauma. A discount T-pose. Yeah, that will pay for all the years of psychotherapy. Also, why did this freak have the key to an orphanage? I better go check on them. Oh my god, I found the Smurf village! In one night at what Gargamel couldn't do in 66 years. How about that, nerd? Also, this is a boss fight if you really stretch the definition of boss fight. It's just a Royal Rat Vanguard again, but the boss Dynamaxes. Other than them, there seems to be nothing else. Maybe there's too much nothing. As if there was something. Through the window! Down the elevator! To the... I don't have the slightest bit of a beginning of a clue of what you are, but you seem nice. But I also play games like a hoarder, so you need to die. Ebrietta's Daughter of the Cosmos, the slimiest wet dream of any monster fucker. This boss asks the question, what do you do when a 15-meter wide truck rams you? And then it doesn't answer. This makes for a perfect segue into the second problem I have with sidesteps. If in some cases you dodge too far and completely miss the enemy, in others you dodge not far enough and you get hit anyway. For this attack in particular, I literally had to remove the lock-on on the boss to dodge it. Otherwise what would happen is the honeypot would slightly curve at the end as the boss approaches, making him get hit. And this is a hellish attack to tank. Wake the fuck up! I can't really remember our mental state during those attempts, but we do have a clue in my note. Can I get a normal death instead of some bullshit of me getting one-shotted out of nowhere? This, everybody, this is proof of peak boss design. This too! That was peak gaming. I unfortunately can no longer delay it. We have to go through the nightmare of Mensis. This place is a long collection of many types of anxieties, like generalized anxiety disorder, arachnophobia, whatever happened here. We can also witness the latest in biological engineering. After the mouse with hair and the trust me bro we de-extincted a species for real, we get the crow dogs and the dog crows. Just the latest in my list of reasons why I will forever curse my ancestors forever transitioning onto land. And speaking of transitioning to land, you know what this game is lacking? More walking! And that's where Mikolash, host of the Nightmare, comes into play, to make us activate those fossils we gamers call legs. I discovered they could move not even a month ago. Now excuse me as I go train my logs. Apparently you can bend them? Have any of you played any Gen 2 Pokemon game? You remember the part where you need to catch the Farfetch'd in the woods? If you do, you've already fought half of this boss. The actual fight is just a loop of him using the power of anime and beating a couple of times. What a bad... Oh, there's more? I can't wait to meet my end. This is just phase 1, but the area is bigger and he can go through mirrors. There is a way to consistently make him go in the room so that you can avoid running around like a maniac for 20 minutes, and it would be super cool if the YouTube video you're watching told you about it. The actual fight is the same, but he has an instant delete button, and if you die, you'll need to repeat everything again. Imagine being 3/4 through a marathon. You stumble on a pebble, and the judges tell you that you have to restart. That is the feeling of fighting Mikolash, host of the Nightmare. The nightmare that is being hosted in my brain. At the very least, he doesn't moan. After beating him and getting a cutscene so epic it would make Dark Souls 2's ladder placing cutscenes blush, I discovered a new passion for cosplaying. Hey guys, who am I? Can you get... Also, we haven't been to Cathedral Ward in at least 5 minutes. Let's go check what's going on in there. Okay, I gotta give another explanation. I met this woman in Roundabout Ward. She gave me her blood and called me a bad boy because I accidentally asked for more, then she got a tummy ache, she birthed this thing, and now I think I have cosmic HIV. Also, I have another one of these. They do look scrumptious. Up until now, I received blood from 3 different women. Is this how it feels to be in a polycule? And you know what? I'll give one final delusional attempt at the bloody Croakinarst.
And this is to go even further beyond!
Eileen, I've done it! I beat the bloody crow first try!
Is that so? You know, dying really makes you think. And your 6 hours long first attempt gave me a lot of time to do so. Maybe Warzone isn't as good as I actually thought.
Every year, thousands of gamers die because they refuse to play some of the greatest single-player experiences out there. Save yourself and disinstall every single battle royale. Please. If you were sleeping well, don't you worry, because we still have things to do in the nightmare. First, we can go through a gauntlet of fun. Pull a lever to make a giant brain fall in the abyss, which lets us enter the Four Kings arena to assert our dominance on the brain. Come on, my controller is about to die. And finally, after some copy-pasting and some colon exploration, we find the pre-final boss.
A child.
No, this is Murgo's wet nurse. Well, I am wet, if you know what I'm saying. I'm scared shitless. But not pissless. Unfortunately, this is mostly just a waste of potential, since basically every single one of our attacks can be dodged by staying behind her. You do still need to be careful. Some of our attacks can and will absolutely obliterate you, and if they do, you'll be forced to play elevator action. But there is a phase 2, where you get nearsighted, then you run around until you aren't. So let's just get this over with and get the fourth and final umbilical cord directly from the source. Bloodborne confirms that children are just nightmares, they're not real. And with that, we're one step away from the end. Whoa, those boycotts are going crazy.
Good hunter, you have come. Gammon awaits you at the foot of the great tree.
Oh, German is waiting for me? This sounds like the perfect time to do whatever else! Way back in the game, by defeating the blood-starved beast, we obtained the Pthumeru Chalice, our key to entering the Chalice Dungeons. If you ever try to get a platinum trophy for Bloodborne, I'm sorry, but we have to relive through our trauma. The Chalice Dungeons are a series of underground mazes that hide important pieces of this game's lore that can be summarized as why can't humans mind their own business? To access them, we need to... Wait a minute, I'm bored. To access them, we need to perform a ritual to create one of the dungeons, with the first one being the Pthumerian Labyrinth, or as I like to call it, the Squat Gauntlet. The Squatlet. I'm gonna turn into one of those YouTubers that just plop on the green screen and read the script away. Here we go. So what are the Chalice Dungeons about? The main objective in every layer is to find a lever to unlock the boss of said layer. I'd say the best part about the dungeons is the enemy variety, with many enemies found exclusively here, and the same goes for the bosses, with great designs and fights that are just fun. Most of them. So, did you like your first layer? Good! Now do it 72 more times. The general progression through the Chalice Dungeons is to explore around to gather materials to access deeper dungeons where you'll fight stronger enemies and get rarer materials. It's a bit repetitive, especially since you'll find yourself resetting certain chalices to repeat them to farm for materials. A fun thing about the dungeon is that people can create custom Chalice Dungeons that everybody can access through a code for the moderate price of $8.99 a month, with the most famous one giving access to the best money farm in the game. And the code for it is... I don't know if I can say that. There are two reasons why you would go through the Chalice Dungeons, aside from enjoying being in pain. One, you really want a sequel and you're the type of person to collect Duskblood's Bloodborne 2 in an honestly incredible display of copium gouging. Or two, you hate yourself and you want the platinum. There are two trophies that need you to go through the Chalice Dungeons. Hunter's Essence, which requires you to obtain all weapons, and the most infamous one, Yharnam Pthumerian Queen, which requires you to go through all 4 Pthumerian dungeons to slay Snow White. For reasons. I can already hear the lore keepers angrily type away in the comments. And since I'm talking about the dungeons, I decided to give them a go and see how far I can get before my brain gives me its 2 weeks notice. Right now I just unlocked the boss of the 3rd layer of the lower Pthumerian dungeon, so let's see who's our opponent. Is that fucking Rom? Oh hell nah, I ain't dealing with that, I'm packing my stuff. Oh, well, I'm so surprised. Things are a little complicated and you quit. Oh, don't you start with me. Well, I'm not the guy that gives up at the first obstacle. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even know when to go to sleep and when to wake up. I remind you that you're just a part of me, so don't go around acting like you're... So yeah, this is just Rom. But instead of fighting her in a beautiful, endless lake, we're in a broom closet. And what else awaits us? Well, we have the Defiled Dungeons where we get our health halved since We have so many of those HPs. Then finally there's the E-Heal dungeon where there's the boss needed for the platinum, but the boss before it is biblical levels of awful because of questionable AoE. Oh, and also you can't just do those 2 dungeons, you have to do other dungeons to farm materials to get those dungeons. Oh, also there's another boss after on because fuck this, I'm done. I've played these games before, I got the platinum trophy, here's the proof. Suck it, nerds. Okay, let's just go and see what Germa needs. I will not get distracted by anything. There's a DLC! Take my money! The Old Hunters is Bloodborne's first and only expansion, one that the entire community is particularly fond of, and one that, before the making of this video, I haven't experienced for myself. I can't say I went in spoiler free, but I definitely never went through the DLC with my own 2 greasy hands. To enter the DLC, we need to go to Yharnam. No, it's Cathedral World. Where else would you go to go somewhere else? Are you sure you didn't get to the Hunter's Dream through Cathedral World? Actually, you almost did. There, after once again being turned into a hunt-up puree, we get transported to Cathedral World? No, this is actually my OA, my original area, the Hunter's Nightmare, the best location in the Clash of Clans universe. And speaking of cock, I'm pretty sure this is what happens when a hog rider likes his hog too much. But seriously, the Hunter's Nightmare is a fucking nightmare. But in the good way. It's the best location for any hunter wants an extra bit of challenge, where you're not safe even from your own weapon. But worry not, for I am a battle-hardened veteran of the Souls-like genre, and nothing can get past me.
Nice cock!
Inside Not Vicar Amelia's arena, we find a guy who's just a chill dude, here to give us our single moment of calm before going back to work. Oh player, it's time to entertain me!
Yes, Miyazaki-san.
Continuing through the area with the composure of a rabid honey badger, we find a cave with a guy that ambushes you with a whole-ass Gatling gun and a... Why? Why is this thing here? You know what? I lingered around here for long enough. Where's the boss? The state I find bro in after his day with a goth girl. But it was no goth girl bro was hanging out with. He was a goth horse. Master Willem? Why is your friend a horse?
I see you have an eye for these things. You see, Ludwig is brain damaged. That's why I put him in the nightmare dimension.
Couldn't you have put him in here with a dentist? Ludwig the Accursed, the first boss of the DLC, and the one I have the most mixed opinions of. The one thing I already knew something about the DLC were the bosses, and as I said in a previous video, I tend to get influenced by a boss's reputation. Voice around town is that this is a difficult boss with a second phase slightly easier than the first. Oh boy, the first. I never watched BoJack Horseman, but I feel like if I blended together all the characters, I get Ludwig's first phase. He is just a maniac, swinging and smashing and lunging his nonsensical body around. And speaking of lunging, he has 3 different lunge attacks, and I don't know which one is which! Huh. Interesting. I never had a headache in this spot. The entire ordeal was, say it wasn't one of my favorites, but that's okay, for it is only half the battle.
You were at my side all along.
In an astounding display of main character syndrome, Ludwig finally finds the hole where he shoved the sword in, and that gives him the strength to become a better equine. He learns to speak, his multiple scolioses are magically healed, and he legally changes his name to Ludwig the Holy Blade. I can confirm that this phase is easier than the first, but that is only because I can finally understand what's going on, and I'm not forced to pay attention to the volume of the screaming to understand what type of assault is about to be inflicted upon me. The battle went from a violent clash to a majestic duel, but the real seller in all of this is the music. Very few tracks can match the insane power that oozes out of the speaker as this masterpiece does. Then after 100 minutes too long, I slay the creature and now we can talk to it, because doing that once it gained consciousness was not an option. The Hunter can only speak with things that are staying still, because if it moves it triggers its predatory instincts. I'm going insane. Good thing we're going to some sort of asylum. Welcome to the Research Hall. This place has the vibes of a cylindrical version of the Duke's archives. Maybe it's because it's filled with the people that had to go through that area. You may not know this, but I'm one of the few lucky ones who went through the Duke's archives and the Crystal Caves and came out still sane. And this is where everybody else wanders into once they lose their minds, where they'll continue to spiral into insanity until they turn to this.
Splish, splash, splish, splash.
Ooh, yeah, that's my jam!
Have you heard how curiously the sea churns?
Are you sure that's not tinnitus?
It bellows from deep inside of me.
You know, I'm kinda done with things coming out of other things.
Here it comes, up through my inside.
Very interesting, I'll leave you to it. Now that I think about it, you might know some of these patients. In Dark Souls 3, you fight your characters from the previous games. In Bloodborne, you fight yourself. The Living Failures is the second group boss of the game, and while they're not even close to being as good as the Chalice of Yharnam, I still did surprisingly enjoy this fight, and I would tell you more about it if my attempt was normal. First, an NPC got stuck between the fog wall and the open door, then the fight lasted like 50 seconds, which the game deemed to be not long enough, and decided to keep one of them alive to attack me. Oh Jesus Christ! This fight is here to justify the presence of a lantern, because literally past the door opposite to the entrance, there's another boss. Well, this looks an awful lot like the DLC cover. What the? Lady Maria. So she did survive! This is the quintessential hunter boss. An absolute monolith of a woman that instead of suffering through her monthly curse, decided to harness it to slay incels. To say that this fight is incredible to witness would be an understatement, and it is the absolute proof of FromSoft's ability to make women hot. Also, you might think you saw her face somewhere. That's because she was one of German's students, and he made the doll in her image. Okay! German's idea to make a doll identical to his student is as good as the Pokemon company's arena to make a life-size plush of Gardevoir. I don't know how much that thing costs, but I know the internet. And that thing is never gonna be enough for what they're gonna do to it. So in the end, Maria is a stunningly beautiful fight, challenging to the right point, and the only boss where it's fun to both repost her and be reposted by her. If you were to pinpoint the one thing that makes FromSoft games so iconic, you might say, oh, it's the storytelling, or oh, it's the bosses, or the difficulty. No, it's the astounding ability to put some of the most incredible, thought-provoking experiences in a video game that will be studied for years to come right beside the most abysmal dogshit ever known to mankind. And by that I mean the next boss, which turns out was not a chill dude. It's the cleric beast. It's the fucking cleric beast! Why? Why did they decide to pull a demon fire sage? This could have been perfect! You were the chosen one! You were supposed to bring only good bosses, not a copycat! This aforementioned dog waste goes by the name of Lawrence the First Vicar. And that's as much effort as I'm going to put into explaining him. Because this is literally just a Cleric Beast boss fight, but instead of absorbing light, he creates it. Oh yeah, he does get a couple more annoying attacks after a while, and he does at some point lose his legs and start shitting lava on the floor. The ultimate death by constipation. Oh, and do you remember that part where the game plays Wii Sports Bowling? It was like... nice cock! It was the best. And after that, there's the entrance to his arena. But not before a door that opens very slowly. And a guy that moves out of the way very slowly. And all that resets every single time you reset. Which means you have to go through all that every single time you die. Because otherwise you'd be having too much fun! So this game does have more in common with Dark Souls 2, with the DLC having both the best and worst boss of the game. This also means that from now on, the quality can only go up, and what follows is the best representation of an office building. The entrance is beautifully and intricately designed by the best architects alive. Then you enter and it's grey and misty. Welcome to the Fish Hamlet. Did you know that the name of SpongeBob's hometown of Bikini Bottom was inspired by the real-life Bikini Atoll, where in 1946 the US performed nuclear bomb testing? Now you do! And I guess that place is not far from here, because this looks like the bad side of rock bottom.
I can't understand your accent.
Whoa, that's a big boy. Well, no matter. I fought bigger and came out victorious. Help! Help! Countdown to the Krusty Krab to get our newest edition, the Crunchy Sucker, still alive and kicking. Through some less than honorable methods, I managed to slay the cetacean with minor casualties. I did get a bow, and I decided I won't take any more shit from anyone.
7,000 fucking arrows!
The rest of the area is Snail Pit, where the lightning shamans reside, and where my incompetence decided to shine. No, yeah, I love walls. They're definitely my top 5 favorite house parts, right after the galvanized steel beams. At this point, the only thing left to do is the boss, but not before we defeat the well. We're not gonna defeat the well. So who's going to be the final boss of the DLC? How did you get in my room? Oh, don't worry about that. By the way, have you ever seen a post-mortem birth? You good, man? Hi. Please stand back. This skinny legend is the Orphan of Kos, an adult fetus the size of a basketball player ready to dunk on me with his own shrimp-shaped placenta. This creature is definitely the hardest good boss in the game, with a level of aggressiveness high even for this game's standards, and with honestly one of the greatest movesets of any boss in the series, which becomes even more expansive in Phase 2 once he turns bigger, angrier and crazier, as he becomes a bomb-throwing, thunder-summoning, placenta-smacking son of a god, making this a truly incredible battle. And a fair one at that. Unless you meet the Stick of Doom. With that, the DLC is over. And now that I'm at it, I might as well talk about you. Get your ass in here. Oh god, he's breaking the fourth wall! Unique to this game is the location of the final boss, the Hunter's Dream itself. This is a marvelous set piece, with the grey skies of the dream making for a beautiful background to the great tree under which Gehrman is waiting for us. Bloodborne has a total of 3 endings, and instead of running around the internet to get all the cutscene, this time I'm gonna do something more sinister. I take a stick, I stab the PlayStation with it to absorb its memories, I combine the stick with a pig and the tears of game journalists, then I chant what's inscribed in the ancient scrolls of the tech wizard Aranzulla to conjure all the MP4s that my heart desires. This is an ancient ritual passed down for countless centuries called Saves Coming. Ending 1. The sweet release of death. Gehrman just politely asks us to sleep forever, and I obediently comply. Wait, you can walk? Yes, I only pretend to need a wheelchair to get benefits, and it honestly doesn't surprise me. Wait, what? No. No! Every day I wake up! Ending 2. Fuck the police. And by police I mean Gehrman. I am once again asking for you to die. Screw you, old man! You want me to go back in the real world where I have to work and pay taxes and wipe after I shit. You insolent Wait, you do know you need to wipe in here too. No matter. Prepare yourself, because tonight, Gehrman
joins the hunt.
Wait, you can walk?
You interrupted my monologue!
German, the first hunter. The first thing that I ever cared about being spoiled about. I was at a birthday party and one of the people just casually mentioned that German was the final boss. And that is only the second craziest way someone spoiled something to me. This old man just discovered TikTok and decided to aura farm. And god damn is he succeeding. He is a 7 feet tall, scythe-wielding speed demon. But most importantly, he is you, but better. He tricks, he shoots, he dashes, he parries. He leaves you with no room to decide, because if you got to this point, you must have learned. There's no time to think in a hunter duo. There's only time to dash attack. And after enough of that, he finds out the hunter is more of a goblin than he imagined. And he asks himself, what would my favorite Pokemon do? And so he turns to the moon and becomes Cresselia. And the rest of the battle is pretty much the same. Even German seemed a bit disappointed that it just lets me finish him.
The night and the dream were long.
I did it. I defeated the British Empire. Is that a JoJo reference? Hi there. What are you doing?
Legend.
So, how would you feel if I called you German?
I swear to God, I'll crawl on your head and chew it off. Now, what if, and hear me out of this, what if we started eating children? No, too much? Okay. How about we start with what comes with the child, like an umbilical cord?
What comes after 1, 2? What comes after 2? 3? What comes after 3?
Ending 3. Fuck the tentacles. No, not that way. Going pro-choice didn't please the tentacle moon rabbit, and we now have to fight the true final boss, the Moon Presence. There isn't much I can say about this fight, it's not even that hard. Whoa!
Is this too easy for you?
Yeah, it is, you're just annoying. But in the end, we managed to slay another god. Hey doll, you remember when I asked you if you would still love me if I was a squid?
Yeah, why? Huh? You know what? Sure. You're probably gonna turn into something like that tentacle mess. Wood.
What?
What?
Never mind. Whatever it is, can we make it quick? I need to get back inside RFK Jr.'s skull. It gets lonely without me. I gotta get through these games quickly because the review part is starting to get a little repetitive. Overall, the gameplay of Bloodborne is not that different from that of Dark Souls, with the main difference being the much faster combat, the lower number of weapons, and the non-existence of any kind of defensive play. Playing this game feels like puppeteering around a stickman made of cocaine. And I love it! Of course I can talk about Souls-like games gameplay without talking about the bosses. As always, they are a huge highlight of the game, and in this title in particular, they scratch a particular itch. I'm not big on strategy games, but I'm fairly into strategic bonking, as in, I like Unga Bungaing, but with classical music in the background. As in, I don't want to play a mindless hack and slash, but I also don't want to sit here and read whether it's better for me to build a hydrogen bomb or a barn. For me, this game hits a perfect balance between a cozy game, a strategy game, and a bad game. This made even less sense than the others. But you do understand my point. Another great thing about bosses is when you play Operation against big fleshy ones, where the objective is to pick and choose which part of the body you want to see bleed. And once again we get to see my mental state represented in a tier list. This is a cry for help. You already know my opinion on FromSoft's way of telling stories. Amazing, unique, and genre-defining. But if I had to say something about this game's story in particular, I still have no idea what's going on. Look! Ancient gods! I do want to make the argument that me not understanding anything from the story was actually intended by the devs. Because imagine playing a game inspired by stories with creatures so beyond comprehension that just seeing them turns your brain into mush. And understanding anything? Y'all are fake fans. The music I'm not a particularly big fan of. Once again, a lot of tracks kind of blend together for me, but there's also some that are just so freaking beautiful. Case in point, Ludwig's theme. Its sole existence gives 2 more points to this game's soundtrack, which also had a stacked team of composers. This was one of the first games that Yuka Kitamura worked on. We also had Nobuyoshi Suzuki, who later also worked on Dark Souls 3 and Super Mario Odyssey, 2 soundtracks I absolutely love. Lastly, I cannot talk about Bloodborne without talking about the Sony in the room. Sony... We recently celebrated this game's 10th anniversary, and the 10th anniversary of people asking Sony to take their money. Mr. Sony, please make a Bloodborne sequel! What? No, go away. A remake? No! A remaster? I don't know, at this point I'll settle for a bug fix, just do something with it! Can you stop bothering me? I'm busy re-releasing The Last of Us for the 5th time. Sony even pulled a Nintendo with Smash Bros type shit when they made the creators of Bloodborne Kart change the name of it to Nightmare Kart for unauthorized use of the Bloodborne intellectual property, which I would more correctly summarize as the use of the Bloodborne intellectual property.
It's my IP to sit on and do nothing with.
In the podium of gaming copium's biggest names, Bloodborne earns the silver medal, surpassing the idea that The Elder Scrolls 6 will ever be released, and only being second to Silksong. What do you mean the Silksong exists? Overall, Bloodborne finds itself at the beginning of the genre's golden path. It was the first truly great game of its kind. And even though time has shown some of its shortcomings, it is still a greatly enjoyable game, which from me gets a 10 out of 10. And even if I thought it was a 1 out of 10, it would still go up to 10 for not having tits for eyes. And for this one, I say we close it here. This is the first video that I make as a free guy, because I'm finally out of university! So the only thing holding me back is this lump of fat in my skull. You better start working, bitch! In all seriousness, I really hope I can start locking in and get a good amount of work on the channel. I won't say that we'll post a video every X time, because this type of garbage needs time to ferment. So the videos will take as long as they need to. Once again, I thank you all for your overwhelming patience, and once again, I thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, sacrifice your firstborn to Zagroth, and follow me wherever you want. Except my house. Weirdo. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
God damn it.